Protesters continue to clash at some of the most prestigious universities in the United States as students gather in pro-Palestinian demonstrations. They're calling on their universities to divest from any companies they say are advancing Israel's military efforts in Gaza. The wave of protests was sparked after police in New York attempted to remove a pro-Palestinian encampment at Columbia University, leading to the arrest of over 100 people. The demonstrations have been condemned by university administrators, some US lawmakers and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has labelled the protests horrific. As of now, student encampments have sprung up on multiple campuses, including Yale, Harvard, the University of Michigan, Berkeley and Stanford. There's also been protests and arrests at MIT, the University of Southern California, Emory University in Atlanta and Austin University in Texas. Protesters say they'll continue their demonstrations until their demands are met.
And as we've seen, students at other schools have shown incredible bravery and incredible strength in continuing their occupations in the face of incredible repression from the universities, and we will do the same as well. And also, more importantly, the people of Palestine have continued, the people of Gaza have continued to show incredible determination and strength and resilience in their fight for liberation.
Tessa Stewart is a student at Yale University and is with the group Yale Jews for Ceasefire and joins us now live from Connecticut. Good morning. Thank you very much for your company this morning.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's awesome to be on air.
Tell me, what are you calling for?
So our demands are pretty clear in our organizing work. We are calling for disclosure and divestment. So that means we want Yale to disclose all of the military weapons manufacturer corporations that it is invested in. There is a big lack of transparency in the way that Yale invests its endowment. It is a $40 billion endowment, which is an insane amount of money. And there are many ties within that endowment to weapons manufacturers, so the Israeli government, particularly through companies such as Boeing and Lockheed Martin. But unfortunately, we don't even know the full extent of Yale's investment, which is why disclosure is such an important part of our demands, because we have seen that the student body has really showed up to call for divestment, but I think that it can show up even more if we know the full extent of Yale's investments. And so then our main other demand is for divestment, because we just think it's horrific and morally unconscionable that our university, which should be about education, which should be about books, should not be about investing in bombs and weapons manufacturers. We need full divestment.
And given that disclosure hasn't happened, you are convinced, though, that your university is investing in those companies that are involved with this conflict, aren't you?
Yeah, no, we are. That's a really great question. We've done a lot of research given the information that we have. So Yale has shares in ETFs, so in shell corporations and in ETFs or exchange traded funds managed by BlackRock that we know to have ties to Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and several other weapons manufacturers. But legally, Yale is not required to disclose more than, it's approximately less than 1% of Yale's investments are disclosed to the public, but we have the knowledge of what ETFs and what shell corporations Yale is invested in. We just don't know where exactly all the money is.
And when you're speaking about this, you said it was morally unconscionable. Is that also your position about the broader conflict that we're seeing, or is there a difference there of perspective?
I just think on a human level, the atrocities that we are seeing in Palestine, in Gaza, the families, the children, the communities that are being devastated by the Israeli government, that our school and our government is tied to, it's horrific. It's on a human level, it's horrific, yeah.
And you're part of the group Yale Jews for Ceasefire. I understand that you are Jewish. How has your lived experience informed the position that you're taking right now?
So the Jewish community that I was raised in centers the value of collective liberation, of community, of freedom and justice. Those are Jewish values in my family. They're the values that I grew up with, and they're very tied to my Jewish identity. And my Jewish community here at Yale is so involved in the divestment movement. To me, they're completely connected. And I think also part of it is that I feel it makes me really upset, makes me angry and sad that my Jewish identity is like the violence and the atrocities, the mass death that we're seeing in Palestine is in any way in the name of Jewish identity. That makes me feel even more of an obligation to do everything that I can to make that stop.
And Tessa, there has been a view amongst some that those who speak out against this conflict are labelled anti-Semitic. I wonder if that has happened to you and what your perspective is on that.
To me, I don't believe that anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are in any way the same thing. I also see Jewish values and Jewish students at the center of a lot of the activism, definitely not the only people doing that activism. People of so many identities. Palestinian students are also such important leaders, but I also see so many Jewish organizers doing this work. I have only felt in the protests and the community that's being built a sense of like education, community, collaboration. It's a beautiful space. It's not a hateful space at all. My group, we have the Jews for Ceasefire at the encampment. We held a Seder, which is a Passover meal for a Jewish holiday. We sing a lot of songs that are historically Jewish, Hebrew songs, because these values of collective liberation, of caring for each other, the belief that every single human deserves to be safe and respected are values that are human, and they're also values that are Jewish.
And just finally, Tessa, yesterday we saw the United States Congress pass a bill around funding that would go to Israel around defence. That was signed off by the US President Joe Biden. What's your view on that piece of law and the funding that will flow from that?
I think that the call for divestment, the call from the fact that the United States and in addition to universities, our entire country the blood cannot be on our hands. This is the whole world is responsible and the whole country is responsible for calling to an end to the mass violence. It's, again, to use the word unconscionable, it's unconscionable that our country, that our university, that our world is not doing everything that we can to stop the mass violence.
Tessa Stewart, a student at Yale University with the group Yale Jews for Ceasefire. Thank you very much for your time this morning. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.